Hello and welcome. I'm really glad you found your way here tonight. This is a gentle hour, an hour when the world quiets down and nothing is urgently asking for your attention. The lights are low, the day has loosened its hold, and there's finally room to simply be. For many people, nighttime used to mean rest and nothing more. But with age, it becomes something richer, something deeper. A moment when awareness softens and gratitude quietly takes its place. At this stage of life, waking in the night isn't always a problem to solve. Sometimes it's an invitation to notice what remains, what has endured, what has quietly carried you this far. In the stillness, you may feel thankful without fully knowing why. Thankful for breath, for memory, for having loved and been loved, for the simple fact of being here in this moment when so much has already been lived. This space is for that feeling, unrushed, unforced, allowed. So take a slow breath, let your shoulders ease, and let this night unfold gently. And now, before we begin, if these gentle reflections speak to you, take a moment to like this video and subscribe to the channel. And down in the comments, tell me where you're listening from and what time it is where you are right now. There's something beautiful about knowing we're all here together, scattered across the world, but united in these quiet hours when gratitude finds us in the darkness. So settle in, adjust your pillows, find a comfortable position, and know that for the next hour, we're going to sit together in this gratitude, this midnight thankfulness, this quiet celebration of a life that's still being lived. Let's begin. You're lying in bed right now, and the house is quiet around you. The world has settled into sleep. The noise of the day has faded. The demands have quieted. The obligations have released their grip. And in this stillness, something unexpected rises. Not anxiety, not worry, not the racing thoughts that sometimes plague the nighttime hours, but gratitude. Simple, profound, unexpected gratitude. It catches you by surprise sometimes, this feeling. You weren't looking for it. You weren't trying to manufacture positive thinking or force yourself into some artificial cheerfulness. You were just lying here, breathing, existing, and suddenly there it is. This warm awareness, this quiet thankfulness, this recognition that despite everything, despite all the losses and changes and challenges, you're grateful. Grateful to be here. Grateful to be breathing. Grateful for this bed, this roof, this safety. Grateful for the life you've lived and the life you're still living. Grateful in ways you couldn't have been when you were younger, when everything seemed guaranteed, when you took so much for granted because you thought you had forever. But you know better now. You know how quickly everything can change, how fragile it all is, how temporary, and somehow, paradoxically, this knowledge doesn't make you afraid. It makes you grateful, more grateful than you've ever been. Grateful with a depth and sincerity that only comes from understanding what can be lost, what has been lost, what remains. You're grateful for simple things tonight, things you never would have noticed when you were younger, things that seemed too small to matter. But now, in the quiet darkness of midnight, These simple things feel like miracles, like gifts, like grace. You're grateful for this bed, this ordinary bed you're lying in right now, the mattress that supports your body, the pillows that cushion your head, the blankets that keep you warm. This bed that's yours, that's safe, that's familiar. You remember when you took beds for granted, when you never thought about the miracle of having a place to sleep. But you think about it now. You feel grateful for it now. This basic comfort, this fundamental safety, this place where you can rest. You remember beds you've slept in that weren't comfortable, that weren't safe, that weren't yours. Hotel beds during difficult times, hospital beds during illness, temporary beds in other people's homes when your own home wasn't available. You remember how much you longed for your own bed during those times, how you dreamed of being here, in this exact spot, with everything familiar around you. And now you are. Now you're here, and you don't take it for granted anymore. You're grateful, so deeply grateful for something as simple as your own bed. You're grateful for the roof over your head, for these walls that surround you, for this shelter that protects you from the elements. You know what it's like to not have stable housing. Maybe you've experienced it yourself. Maybe you've known people who have. Maybe you just understand, with the wisdom that comes with age, how precarious it all is. How many people are sleeping outside tonight? How many people don't have this safety, this protection, this basic human right that shouldn't be a privilege, but is? You lie here in your bed, under your roof, surrounded by your walls, and you feel grateful, not guilty, not self-congratulatory, just grateful, aware of your good fortune, aware of how easily it could be different, aware that you're lucky to have this shelter, this sanctuary, this place to call home. You're grateful for the quiet, for this stillness that surrounds you. The world is so loud during the day, so demanding, so full of noise and stimulation and things competing for your attention. But now, at midnight, everything is quiet, peaceful, still. And in this quiet, you can finally hear yourself. You can finally feel what you're actually feeling without the noise drowning it out. When you were younger, you might have been afraid of this quiet. You might have filled it with television or music or scrolling through your phone. You might have done anything to avoid being alone with your thoughts in the silence. But now, you crave it. You need it. This quiet is where you find yourself, where you reconnect with what matters, where you remember who you are beneath all the roles and responsibilities and expectations. You're grateful for this quiet, for this peace, for this opportunity to simply be, without performing, without producing, without proving anything to anyone. Just existing, just breathing, just feeling grateful in the stillness. You're grateful for your breath, this simple, automatic function that you never think about until something goes wrong. You breathe in, you breathe out. Your body knows what to do. Your lungs expand and contract. Oxygen enters your bloodstream. Your cells receive what they need. All of this happens without your conscious participation, without your effort, without your control. You've known people who struggled to breathe, who fought for every breath, who had to think about something that should be automatic. Maybe you've experienced this yourself. Maybe You've had respiratory illnesses or conditions that made breathing difficult. Maybe you've sat beside someone you loved while they struggled for air. These experiences taught you what a gift breath is. What a miracle it is that your body just does this over and over, keeping you alive without asking for recognition or gratitude. But you give it anyway. Gratitude, recognition. You lie here breathing and you feel thankful for each breath, each inhalation, each exhalation, each cycle of air moving in and out of your body. You're alive. You're breathing. This is not guaranteed. This is not permanent. But right now, in this moment, you're breathing. And you're grateful. You're grateful for your heartbeat. You can feel it if you pay attention. That steady rhythm in your chest. That faithful muscle that's been beating since before you were born. That's been working every single moment of your life without rest, without vacation, without complaint. Just beating, just pumping blood through your body, just keeping you alive. You think about how many times your heart has beaten. Billions of times. Trillions of times. Since you were a cluster of cells in your mother's womb. Since before you had consciousness or awareness or any understanding of what life was, your heart was there, beating, working, faithful, and it's still beating now, still working, still faithful, after all these years, after all these decades, after everything you've put your body through. Your heart continues. It persists. It keeps you alive. You place your hand on your chest and you feel it. This beating, this rhythm, this proof of life. And you're grateful. So grateful for this organ that's been your companion through your entire existence. That's never given up on you. That's still here, still working, still beating in the midnight quiet. You're grateful for your body. This complicated, imperfect, aging body that's carried you through decades of life. This body that's changed so much over the years. That's gained weight and lost weight. That's grown stronger and weaker. That's been injured and healed. That's shown you what it's capable of and what its limitations are. This body that's been your home for your entire life. You know all its flaws now, all its aches and pains and limitations, the joints that hurt, the muscles that tire easily, the systems that don't work as well as they used to, the scars and wrinkles and signs of aging that mark the passage of time. You know your body intimately now in ways you didn't when you were younger. You know what it can do and what it can't do, what it needs and what it struggles with. But tonight, lying here in the darkness, you're not focusing on what's wrong with your body. You're not cataloging its failures or limitations. You're feeling grateful for what it can still do, for what it's done, for how it served you. This body has carried you through your entire life. It's taken you places. It's allowed you to experience the world. It's given you the ability to touch and taste and see and hear and smell. It's let you hold people you love. It's let you create and work and play and rest. It's been faithful even when you haven't been faithful to it. You're grateful for your body tonight, grateful for its resilience, grateful for its persistence, grateful that it's still here, still functioning, still allowing you to experience life. Imperfect but present, aging but alive, limited but still capable. You lie here and you thank your body for everything it's done, everything it's given you, everything it continues to give you with every breath, every heartbeat, every moment of existence. You're grateful for your mind, for your ability to think and remember and reflect, for your consciousness that allows you to experience gratitude in the first place, for your capacity to find meaning in the darkness, to connect moments across time, to hold memories and hopes simultaneously, to be aware of being aware, this miraculous thing called consciousness that you still have, that's still functioning, that's still yours. Your mind has changed over the years. You know this. Memory isn't what it used to be. Processing speed has slowed. Some things that came easily before require more effort now. You forget names and words and where you put things. You lose threads of thoughts mid-sentence. You search for information that used to be instantly accessible. These changes frustrate you sometimes. They remind you that aging affects everything, including the mind you've relied on your entire life. But your mind is still here, still working, still capable of so much. You can still think, still reason, still learn, still create meaning, still appreciate beauty, still love, still feel gratitude in the midnight darkness. Your mind has accumulated decades of wisdom and experience and understanding. You know things now that you couldn't have known when you were younger. You see patterns and connections and truths that only become visible with time and perspective. You're grateful for this mind that's been your companion through every moment of your conscious life. That's helped you navigate challenges. That's allowed you to learn and grow. That's given you the capacity to experience the full range of human emotion and thought. That's still here, still functioning, still allowing you to lie in this bed and feel grateful for being alive. You're grateful for the darkness itself. This midnight hour when most people are sleeping, when the world is quiet and still, when you can exist without being seen or judged or evaluated. The darkness is a refuge, a sanctuary, a space where you can simply be without performing, without pretending, without maintaining the face you show the world during daylight hours. When you were younger, darkness might have frightened you. It might have felt threatening or lonely or wrong. You might have rushed to fill it with light, with distraction, with anything to avoid being alone with yourself in the dark. But now you understand the gift of darkness, the peace it offers, the honesty it allows, the space it creates for reflection and gratitude and connection with your deepest self. In the darkness, you don't have to be anyone. You don't have to maintain appearances. You don't have to smile when you don't feel like smiling, or engage when you don't feel like engaging. You can just exist, raw and real and completely yourself. And in this authentic existence, gratitude rises naturally, not forced, not manufactured, but genuine and deep and true. You're grateful for this darkness, for this midnight hour, for this time that belongs to you alone, for this space where you can feel what you actually feel without judgment or expectation, for this sanctuary of night where gratitude finds you waiting. You're grateful for the people who are sleeping around you right now. Maybe your partner beside you, maybe your children or grandchildren in other rooms or other homes, maybe friends or neighbors or community members nearby. You're grateful that they exist, that they're safe, that they're resting, that they're part of your life, that you're part of theirs. You think about the people you love and you feel grateful for them in ways that are hard to express during the busy daylight hours. When everyone is moving and doing and managing their lives, you don't always have time to pause and really feel how much they mean to you. How grateful you are that they exist, that they're in your world, that you've had the privilege of knowing them and loving them and being loved by them. But now, in the quiet darkness, you can feel it fully. This gratitude for the people who matter, for the connections you've built over years and decades, for the love that sustained you through difficulties, for the companionship that's made life richer and more meaningful, for the simple fact that you're not alone in the world, that you have people, that you matter to someone, that someone matters to you. You're grateful for your partner if you have one, for the person who shares your life, who shares this bed, who's lying beside you right now, breathing their own steady rhythm. You've been together for years, maybe decades. You've weathered so much together. You've seen each other through illnesses and losses and challenges and changes. You've grown old together. This person has witnessed your entire adult life. They know you in ways no one else knows you. They've seen you at your best and your worst, and they're still here. You feel grateful for them tonight, for their presence, for their faithfulness, for their willingness to share this journey of aging with you, for the comfort of not being alone, for the peace of having someone beside you in the darkness. You might not say these things out loud. You might not even tell them tomorrow, but tonight, in the midnight quiet, you feel it. This deep gratitude for the person who's chosen to walk beside you through life. You're grateful for your children, if you have them, even though they're grown now, even though they have their own lives, even though they don't need you the way they once did. You're grateful that they exist, that you had the privilege of raising them, of watching them grow, of being part of their journey into adulthood. You remember when they were small, when they needed you for everything, when you were their entire world. Those years were exhausting and overwhelming and sometimes lonely. But now, looking back from this midnight perspective, you're grateful for them. Grateful for the opportunity to love someone that completely, to care for someone that deeply, to be needed in such a fundamental way. Your children are sleeping somewhere tonight, maybe nearby, maybe far away, but they're out there in the world, living their lives, carrying pieces of you with them. And you're grateful that they're healthy, grateful that they're finding their way, grateful that they still call sometimes, that they still visit, that they still include you in their lives, even though they don't need you the way they once did. You're grateful for grandchildren if you have them, for this unexpected gift that comes with aging. These small people who call you grandparent, who look at you with love and trust, who give you a second chance at some of the things you got wrong the first time, who remind you what wonder looks like, what curiosity looks like, what joy looks like before life complicates it. You lie here thinking about their faces, their voices, the way they run to you when they see you, the way they share their discoveries with you, the way they trust you to keep them safe. and you feel grateful. So grateful for this role you never could have imagined when you were young. This privilege of being grandparent, of loving these children without the full weight of responsibility, of enjoying them in ways you couldn't always enjoy your own children because you were too tired, too stressed, too overwhelmed by the demands of parenthood. You're grateful for friends who've walked beside you through the years. Some are gone now. Some have drifted away. Some have moved or changed or faded from your life for reasons you don't fully understand. But some remain. Some are still here, still calling, still checking in, still showing up, still caring whether you're okay. These friendships matter more now than they did when you were younger. When you were busy raising children or building careers, friendships sometimes got pushed to the side. They were important, but not urgent. They were valued, but not prioritized. But now you understand how precious they are. How rare it is to have people who've known you for decades, who remember who you were before, who've witnessed your journey, who still want to be part of your life. You're grateful for these friends tonight, for their loyalty, for their continued presence, for the phone calls and visits and messages that remind you that you're not alone, that you're cared for, that you matter to people beyond your family, that you've built connections that endure. You're grateful for the kindness of strangers, for the people you don't know who make your life easier, the healthcare workers who treat you with dignity, the store clerks who are patient when you move slowly, the young people who hold doors or offer help without being asked, the neighbors who wave hello, the delivery drivers who bring packages to your door. All these small kindnesses that you might have overlooked when you were younger but notice now, appreciate now, feel grateful for now. You understand something now that you didn't understand before. That kindness matters. That small gestures of care and consideration add up to something significant. That we're all dependent on each other in ways that are easy to forget when you're young and capable and self-sufficient. But now, as your own capabilities have changed, you're more aware of how much you need other people, how much their kindness matters, how much their patience helps, how much their consideration means. You're grateful for these strangers who are kind, who see you as a person worthy of respect and care, who take an extra moment to be helpful, who treat your aging as something natural rather than something to be avoided or feared or pitied, who remind you through their actions that you still belong in the world, that you're still valued, that you still matter. You're grateful for memories, for the vast collection of experiences you've accumulated over decades of living. These memories are yours. They belong to you. They're proof that you've lived, that you've experienced things, that you've been present for moments both ordinary and extraordinary, that your life has been full and rich and real. You remember moments of joy, weddings and births and celebrations, achievements and successes, and moments when everything came together perfectly, times when you laughed until you cried, times when you felt completely happy and alive and grateful to be exactly where you were. These memories are treasures now, gifts you can unwrap in the midnight darkness, evidence that life has given you beautiful moments, that you've experienced love and joy and connection and wonder. You remember moments of challenge too, times when you struggled, when you failed, when you faced difficulties that seemed insurmountable. when you didn't know how you'd get through. But you did get through. You survived. You persisted. You found strength you didn't know you had. And now these memories are proof of your resilience, evidence of your capability, reminders that you've faced hard things before and made it to the other side. You're grateful for all of it, the joyful memories and the difficult ones, because they're all part of your story. They all contributed to making you who you are. They all taught you something. They all mattered. And you can access them now, in this quiet midnight hour, and feel grateful that you've lived long enough to accumulate this vast collection of experiences, that your life has been full enough to generate all these memories, that you've been present for all these moments. You're grateful for lessons learned, for the wisdom that's come through experience and time, and sometimes painful mistakes. You know so much now that you didn't know when you were younger, about yourself, about other people, about how life works, about what matters and what doesn't, about how to prioritize, about how to let go, about how to forgive, about how to love better, about how to live more authentically. These lessons weren't always easy to learn. Some came through failure, some came through loss, some came through pain that you wouldn't wish on anyone. But you learned them. They became part of you. They shaped your understanding. They made you wiser. And now, lying here in the darkness, you're grateful for this wisdom. Grateful that experience has taught you things that can't be taught any other way. Grateful that you've lived long enough to gain perspective. Grateful that you understand more now than you did before. You're grateful for second chances, for the opportunities life has given you to try again, to do better, to make different choices, to repair relationships, to pursue dreams you'd set aside, to become more fully yourself. You've had opportunities to start over, to change direction, to correct mistakes, to apologize and be forgiven, to forgive and move forward. These second chances weren't guaranteed. They were gifts, grace, and you're grateful for them. You think about relationships you've repaired, conflicts you've resolved, misunderstandings you've cleared up, people you've reconnected with after years of distance. These reconciliations matter so much now. They feel like miracles, like grace, like proof that it's never too late to make things right, that relationships can heal, that love can be restored, that forgiveness is possible. You're grateful for these second chances, for the opportunity to love better this time, to show up more fully, to be more honest, to be more present, to be more yourself. Age has given you this gift, the wisdom to know what matters, the courage to pursue it, the humility to admit when you were wrong, the grace to try again. You're grateful for mornings you've witnessed, for all the dawns you've seen, for all the times you've opened your eyes after sleep and realized you're still here, still alive, still given another day. When you were younger, mornings were automatic, guaranteed. You never questioned whether you'd wake up. You never felt grateful for the simple fact of consciousness returning after sleep. But now you do. Now each morning feels like a gift, like grace, like one more opportunity you didn't earn but received anyway. You think about all the mornings you've experienced, thousands of them, tens of thousands, each one different, each one bringing its own weather, its own light, its own possibilities. Some mornings arrived with sunshine and birdsong. Some arrived grey and quiet. Some arrived with pain or worry or obligations you didn't want to face. But they all arrived. They all gave you another day, another chance to be alive, another opportunity to experience whatever life had to offer. You're grateful for these mornings, for the fact that you've woken up so many times, that sleep has released you back into consciousness over and over, that your body has rested and restored itself night after night, that you've been given day after day after day. This is not guaranteed. This is not owed to you. This is pure gift. And in the midnight darkness, waiting for tomorrow's dawn, you feel grateful for every morning you've received and every morning you might still receive. You're grateful for seasons you've experienced, for the cycle of time that's marked your years, for springs that brought renewal, for summers that brought warmth and long days and opportunities to be outside, for autumns that brought color and harvest and preparation, for winters that brought rest and reflection and the beauty of bare trees against gray skies. You've lived through dozens of cycles now, dozens of springs and summers and autumns and winters, each one the same and each one different, each one carrying its own gifts and challenges. You remember favorite seasons from different periods of your life, springs when your children were young and everything was new and growing, summers of long vacations and freedom, autumns of school beginnings and new routines, winters of holidays and family gatherings. Each season holds memories. Each season has given you something. Each season has been part of the rhythm of your life. You're grateful for this rhythm, for the way time moves in cycles rather than just straight lines, for the way seasons return and remind you that life continues, that change is natural, that endings lead to beginnings, that rest prepares for growth, that everything has its time. This understanding brings comfort, brings perspective, brings acceptance of where you are in your own seasonal cycle. You're grateful for nature you've witnessed, for trees and flowers and birds and sunsets and storms and stars, for the natural world that's been the backdrop of your entire life. You've seen so much beauty, so much wonder, so much evidence that there's something larger than yourself, something magnificent and mysterious and worth paying attention to. You remember specific moments of natural beauty that took your breath away, a sunset that painted the sky in possible colors, a thunderstorm that shook the house with its power, a garden in full bloom, a snow-covered landscape, a night sky so full of stars you could barely comprehend the vastness. These moments of beauty were gifts. They asked nothing of you except that you witness them, that you be present for them, that you allow yourself to be moved by them. You're grateful for these moments, for the fact that beauty exists, that the natural world continues its cycles regardless of human concerns, that there are still sunsets and stars and flowers and birds, that you've been alive long enough to witness so many of these moments, that your eyes have seen such beauty, that your heart has been moved by such wonder. You're grateful for small pleasures that still bring you joy. A good cup of coffee in the morning, a comfortable chair, a favorite blanket, a meal that tastes exactly right, a song that speaks to you, a book that captures your attention, a phone call from someone you love, a warm bath, clean sheets, sunlight through a window. These small things matter more now than they did when you were younger. When you were young, you were always looking for big things, big achievements, big experiences, big moments that would define your life. And those big things mattered. They were important. But now you understand that life is mostly made of small things. Small pleasures, small comforts, small moments of contentment. And these small things are not lesser because they're small. They're actually more precious because they're available every day, because they're sustainable, because they don't require anything extraordinary, just attention, just appreciation, just willingness to notice and be grateful. You lie here in the darkness, thinking about the small pleasures that fill today, the meals you ate, the chair you sat in, the conversations you had, the moments of comfort and ease. And you feel grateful for them, grateful that these simple things can still bring you satisfaction, grateful that joy doesn't require anything dramatic or expensive or difficult to obtain, grateful that life continues to offer these small gifts every single day. You're grateful for rest, for the fact that your body knows how to rest, that you can lie down and your muscles can release tension, that your mind can quiet, that sleep can find you, that restoration happens without your conscious effort. When you were younger, you resisted rest, you pushed through fatigue, you tried to do more and be more and accomplish more. Rest felt like weakness, like laziness, like something to be avoided or minimized. But now, you understand the gift of rest, the necessity of it, the healing that happens when you allow yourself to stop, to lie down, to close your eyes, to let your body and mind recover from the demands of being alive. Rest is not weakness. Rest is wisdom. Rest is self-care. Rest is honoring the reality that you're human and humans need to rest. You're grateful that you can rest now, that you have permission to rest, that you've learned to value rest instead of resist it, that you can lie in this bed without guilt or anxiety about what you should be doing instead, that you can simply be here, resting, allowing your body to do what it needs to do. This is growth. This is wisdom. This is one of the gifts of aging. You're grateful for resilience you didn't know you had, for the strength that's carried you through difficulties, for the ability to survive things you didn't think you could survive. You've faced losses, illnesses, betrayals, disappointments, failures, grief so profound you thought they'd destroy you. But you're still here, still breathing, still living, still capable of feeling gratitude in the midnight darkness. This resilience wasn't something you were born with. It was built through experience, through facing hard things and discovering you could face them, through falling apart and finding ways to put yourself back together, through learning that you're stronger than you thought, more capable than you believed, more resilient than you ever gave yourself credit for. You're grateful for this strength, for this resilience, for this proven ability to survive. It gives you confidence now, not arrogance, not invulnerability, but quiet confidence that you can handle whatever comes, that you've handled hard things before and you can handle hard things again, that you're not fragile, that you're not helpless, that you have resources within yourself that emerge when they're needed. You're grateful for forgiveness you've received, for the times people have chosen to forgive you when you didn't deserve it, when you made mistakes, when you hurt people you loved, when you failed to be who you should have been. You remember specific moments of failure, specific times when you got it wrong, when you said the wrong thing or did the wrong thing or neglected something important. You remember the shame and guilt and fear that maybe you damaged something beyond repair, but people forgave you. They chose to release you from that debt. They chose to continue the relationship despite your failure. They chose to see you as more than your worst moments. This forgiveness was grace, unearned, undeserved, given freely, and it changed you. It allowed you to move forward. It taught you about mercy and compassion and the possibility of redemption. You're grateful for this forgiveness, for the people who've extended it to you, for the relationships that survived your mistakes because someone chose to forgive, for the freedom that comes from being released from guilt, for the opportunity to try again, to do better, to be better. This forgiveness has shaped you, has softened you, has taught you about grace in ways nothing else could. You're grateful for the capacity to forgive others, for the ability you've developed over the years to let go of resentment, to release anger, to stop carrying grudges that only hurt yourself. You've been hurt. People have betrayed you, disappointed you, failed you, let you down in ways that caused real pain. You had every right to stay angry, to hold on to that hurt, to never forgive. But you learned that holding on to anger is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. That resentment doesn't hurt them. It hurts you. That carrying grudges is exhausting. That forgiveness isn't about excusing what they did or pretending it didn't hurt. It's about freeing yourself from the burden of carrying that pain forever. You're grateful that you've learned to forgive, that you've developed this capacity, that you can release people from debts they'll never pay, that you can let go of expectations they'll never meet, that you can choose peace over righteousness. This is wisdom. This is maturity. This is one of the most important lessons life has taught you. You're grateful for faith, whatever that means to you. Maybe you have religious faith, belief in God or a higher power or something beyond the material world. This faith has sustained you through difficulties, given you hope when circumstances looked hopeless, provided meaning when life felt meaningless, connected you to something larger than yourself, offered comfort when nothing else could comfort you. Or maybe your faith is less defined. Maybe it's just a sense that there's more to existence than what you can see and measure, that life has meaning even if you can't fully articulate what that meaning is. That love and beauty and goodness are real and matter. That your life has purpose, even in small ways. That you're part of something larger. That you belong. Whatever form your faith takes, you're grateful for it tonight. Grateful for the hope it provides, the meaning it offers, the comfort it brings, the sense of connection it creates. Faith doesn't answer all your questions. It doesn't solve all your problems. It doesn't protect you from suffering. But it helps. It sustains. It carries you through darkness. And you're grateful for that. You're grateful for questions you've stopped needing to answer, for the peace that's come from accepting mystery, from admitting you don't know everything, from releasing the need to understand and explain and figure out all of life's complexities. When you were younger, you wanted answers, certainty, clear explanations for everything. Not knowing felt uncomfortable, intolerable, like a problem that needed solving. But now you're comfortable with mystery, with not knowing, with questions that don't have clear answers. You've learned that some things can't be understood, can't be explained, can't be resolved. And that's okay. That doesn't make them less real or less meaningful. It just makes them mysterious. And mystery is not something to fear. It's something to respect, to honor, to live with gracefully. You're grateful for this peace, this acceptance, this ability to live with questions, to embrace mystery, to be comfortable with not knowing. This is freedom. This is wisdom. This is one of the unexpected gifts of aging. You're grateful for creativity that still lives in you, for the part of yourself that still wants to make things, express things, create beauty or meaning or order. Maybe you paint or write or garden or cook or craft or play music. Maybe your creativity takes forms that don't have names, but it's there. This impulse to create, to bring something into existence that wasn't there before, to leave some mark on the world that says you were here. This creativity matters. It connects you to something essential about being human. It gives you purpose. It provides joy. It allows you to express what can't be expressed in words. It's proof that you're still growing, still learning, still capable of new things. That age hasn't diminished everything. That there are parts of you that remain vital and alive and eager to manifest. You're grateful for this creativity, for the fact that it hasn't disappeared with age, that you still have the desire and ability to create, that you can still bring beauty or meaning or order into the world, that your life can still generate new things, that you're not finished yet, that there's still creativity within you, waiting to be expressed. You're grateful for routine, for the structure that shapes your days, for the familiar patterns that give your life rhythm and predictability. You wake at certain times. You eat at certain times. You have habits and rituals that organize your time. When you were younger, routine might have felt boring, limiting, like something to escape or rebel against. But now you understand its value, its comfort, its necessity. Routine provides stability when everything else is changing. It gives you a framework to hold on to. It reduces the number of decisions you have to make. It creates a sense of normalcy even when nothing feels normal. It's like a map you can follow when you're not sure where you're going. It's reliable, consistent, trustworthy. You're grateful for your routines, for the familiar shape of your days, for knowing what comes next, for having rituals that ground you, for the comfort of repetition, for the peace of predictability. This routine is not boring. It's not limiting. It's sustaining. It's holding you. It's carrying you through time with grace and steadiness. You're grateful for choices you made that turned out right, for decisions that shaped your life in positive ways, for times when you followed your instincts and they led you somewhere good. You think about major choices, who you married, where you lived, career paths you chose, relationships you invested in. These choices weren't always obvious at the time. You didn't always know if you were making the right decision, but you chose, and those choices led you here, to this life, this moment, this quiet gratitude in the darkness. Some choices were difficult, some required sacrifice, some meant letting go of other possibilities. But looking back now, with the perspective that time provides, you can see how these choices shaped everything, how they led to people you love, experiences you treasure, lessons you needed to learn. You're grateful you made these choices, grateful you had the courage to choose, grateful for the path these choices created. You're grateful even for choices that seemed wrong at the time, but taught you something valuable. For mistakes that became teachers, for failures that redirected you, for closed doors that led you to better doors. Not every choice was right. Not every decision led where you thought it would, but every choice taught you something. Every decision was part of your journey. Every path, even the difficult ones, led you to this moment. And you're here. And you're grateful. You're grateful for technology that keeps you connected, for phones that let you hear voices of people you love, for video calls that let you see their faces even when they're far away, for messages and emails and photos that arrive instantly. When you were younger, staying in touch required letters and expensive long-distance calls and waiting. Now connection is instantaneous, available, easy. You're grateful for this, for the ability to stay connected even when distance separates you, for seeing grandchildren grow up through photos and videos, for hearing about daily life from children who live in other cities or countries, for maintaining friendships across miles, for never being truly isolated as long as you have these tools of connection. Technology can be frustrating sometimes. It changes too fast. It's complicated. It doesn't always work the way you expect. But the gift it provides is real. The connection it enables matters. And you're grateful for it. Grateful that distance doesn't mean disconnection anymore. Grateful that you can reach out and touch someone's life with just a few taps on a screen. You're grateful for healthcare that's kept you alive, for doctors and nurses and medications and treatments, for medical knowledge that's advanced dramatically during your lifetime, for procedures that didn't exist when you were young, for medicines that manage conditions that would have killed you decades ago. You're alive partly because of this healthcare, partly because medicine has progressed, partly because people dedicated their lives to healing others. You think about medical interventions you've received, surgeries, medications, treatments, therapies. Each one extended your life, improved your quality of life, gave you more time, more years, more opportunities to experience gratitude in midnight darkness. You're grateful for the healthcare workers who've cared for you, who've treated you with skill and compassion, who've seen you at your most vulnerable and responded with professionalism and kindness. You're grateful for medical progress that's happened during your lifetime, for vaccines and antibiotics and surgical techniques, for diagnostic tools that find problems early, for treatments that cure diseases that used to be death sentences, for pain management that allows dignity, for hospice care that honors the dying process. All of this progress matters. All of it contributes to longer, healthier, more comfortable lives. And you're grateful. You're grateful for community you belong to, for neighbors and fellow church members and club members and people you see regularly, for the web of connections that surrounds you, for people who know your name, who notice if you're not around, who care about your well-being, who include you, who make you feel like you belong somewhere. Community matters more as you age. When you were younger, you might have taken it for granted, might have been too busy to invest in it, might have assumed it would always be there. But now you understand how precious it is, how rare, how much effort it requires to build and maintain. You're grateful for the community you're part of, for the people who've created space for you, who've welcomed you, who've made you feel valued and included. You're grateful for independence you still have, for the ability to make your own choices, to manage your own life, to maintain control over your days and decisions. You know this isn't guaranteed. You've seen people lose independence, seen them move into situations where others make decisions for them, seen them struggle with the loss of autonomy. You know how precious independence is, how easily it can be lost, how hard it is to regain once it's gone. So you're grateful for the independence you currently have, for your ability to live where you choose, to organize your days as you prefer, to make decisions about your own care and life. This independence isn't unlimited. You have constraints. You need help sometimes. You can't do everything you used to do. But you still have meaningful autonomy. You still have choice. You still have control over significant aspects of your life. And you're deeply grateful for this. You're grateful for peace you found, for the internal quiet that's replaced the anxiety and striving of earlier years. You're not constantly worried about what others think anymore. You're not trying to prove yourself. You're not competing or comparing or constantly evaluating your worth against others. You've settled into yourself, accepted yourself, made peace with who you are. This peace didn't come automatically. You had to work for it, had to let go of things you were holding too tightly, had to forgive yourself for not being perfect, had to accept limitations, had to release expectations that were never realistic. But you did that work, and now you have this peace, this inner quiet, this acceptance, and it's one of the greatest gifts of aging. You're grateful for this peace tonight, for the way it allows you to lie here without agitation, without the racing thoughts that used to keep you awake, without the anxiety about tomorrow or regret about yesterday. Just peace, just presence, just quiet gratitude for being alive in this moment. You're grateful for perspective that comes with age, for the ability to see patterns you couldn't see when you were younger, to understand that most things that felt catastrophic at the time weren't actually catastrophic, to know that most problems eventually resolve, that most pain eventually eases. That time truly does heal many wounds. This perspective doesn't make current problems disappear, but it helps you face them with more calm, more confidence, more understanding that this too shall pass. You've lived long enough to see how things turn out, to watch situations that seemed hopeless gradually improve, to witness people who seem beyond help eventually find their way, to experience your own worst fears and discover they weren't as bad as you imagined. This experience has taught you that you can trust time, trust process, trust that things generally work out somehow, even when you can't see how. You're grateful for this perspective, for the calm it brings, for the hope it provides, for the patience it enables, for the wisdom of knowing that most things are not as urgent or critical as they seem in the moment. This perspective is earned. It comes through living, through witnessing, through surviving, and it's invaluable. You're grateful for the present moment, for this exact point in time, this breath, this heartbeat, this sensation of blankets against your skin, this awareness of being alive, right now. Not yesterday, not tomorrow, but now. This moment that will never come again. This unique, unrepeatable instant of existence. You've learned to appreciate the present moment in ways you couldn't when you were younger. Back then, you were always looking ahead, planning, preparing, anticipating, or looking backward, remembering, regretting, analyzing. You are rarely fully present, rarely completely here, always somewhere else in your mind. But now you've learned the gift of presence, of being fully here, of paying attention to what's actually happening instead of what might happen or what did happen. This doesn't mean you never think about past or future, but it means you can also simply be here, now, in this moment, experiencing it fully without needing it to be different or better or anything other than what it is. You're grateful for this ability, this presence, this awareness. It allows you to experience life more fully, to notice things you would have missed, to appreciate things you would have overlooked, to be truly alive instead of just passing through life on autopilot. You're grateful for hope, for the fact that despite everything you've experienced and lost and suffered, you still have hope. Not naive optimism, not denial of reality, but real hope. The kind that acknowledges difficulty but still believes in possibility. That sees darkness but still looks for light. That experiences pain but still trusts in healing. This hope sustains you, carries you forward, gives you reason to get up in the morning, allows you to face another day even when you're tired, even when you're hurting, even when you're not sure what the point is anymore. Hope whispers that there's still beauty to witness, still love to experience, still meaning to discover, still reasons to be glad you're alive. You're grateful for this hope, for its persistence, for the way it refuses to die no matter what happens, for the way it emerges even in your darkest moments, for the way it reminds you that your story isn't finished yet, that there are still chapters to be written, still experiences to be had, still gratitude to be felt in future midnight hours. You're grateful for life itself, for the inexplicable gift of existence, for the fact that you are, that consciousness exists, that you've been given this opportunity to experience reality, to be aware, to feel, to think, to love, to witness beauty, to create meaning, to connect with others, to be part of this vast, mysterious, wonderful, terrible, beautiful thing called life. You didn't ask to be born. You didn't choose to exist. You were given this life without consultation, and it hasn't been easy. It hasn't been perfect. It hasn't been what you imagined or hoped for in many ways. But it's been yours. It's been real. It's been full. And lying here in the midnight darkness, you feel grateful for it. Grateful for every moment. Grateful for every experience. Grateful for every breath. Grateful for the privilege of being alive. This gratitude fills you now, surrounds you, settles over you like the blankets covering your body. Deep gratitude, profound thankfulness, quiet appreciation for being here, for being alive, for being able to feel this gratitude. This is the gift of midnight. This is what elders feel in the darkness. Not just worry or pain or regret, but gratitude. Pure, deep, unexpected gratitude. You close your eyes now. You let this gratitude settle into your bones. You let it fill your chest. You let it quiet your mind. You breathe slowly and feel grateful for each breath. You feel your heart beating and feel grateful for each beat. You feel the warmth of your bed and feel grateful for shelter and safety and comfort. All the things you felt grateful for tonight. All the people and experiences and lessons and gifts. They all come together now into one large, encompassing sense of thankfulness. Thankfulness for life, for being, for existence, for this moment. For every moment that's led to this moment, for every moment that might still come. You're tired now, peacefully tired. The gratitude has done its work. It's acknowledged what needed acknowledging. It's honored what needed honoring. It's remembered what needed remembering. And now it's releasing you into rest, into sleep, into peace. The gratitude will still be here tomorrow. It will rise again in future midnight hours. It will continue to find you in the darkness. But for now, it's letting you go. It's giving you permission to rest, to stop thinking, to stop feeling, to simply be, to sleep. You settle deeper into your bed. You adjust your position one final time. You pull the blankets a little closer. You let your body relax completely. You release all tension, all holding, all effort. You simply let go. And in this letting go, gratitude remains. Quiet, steady, faithful. Like a candle that continues burning even when you're not watching it. You're grateful. Simply grateful, deeply grateful for everything, for this life, for this moment, for this breath, for this heartbeat, for being here, for being alive, for being you. The fires die down, the stories settle, and the world grows still. Let your thoughts drift away like embers on the wind. Good night. You've journeyed far through time tonight. Now it's time to journey into dreams. Close your eyes, breathe, and let sleep find you.